I got a pretty strong feeling that CMT is going to get the Bud Light treatment. I'm pretty sure by now you guys have heard about this song that Jason Aldean did, basically saying try it in a small town, and don't worry, we'll be exploring that aspect here soon because there's a lot of people out there who have been reacting to this in different ways. Now, obviously I'm coming here like the day after, and of course this is the only video I plan on doing today, but it's obviously going to be one of my longer videos, so make sure you guys go ahead and grab a drink and stick around because there's a lot to discuss here, which includes not only the background of this situation, but how it is that CMT could have been doing the exact same term that Bud Light was doing before it officially came out. Of course, I'm referring to the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, but I'm also referring to the fact that Bud Light gave us signs that they were going to turn or eventually come out of the quote-unquote closet. CMT gave the exact same signs. I'm going to be going through that here in this video as well, but I'm also going to be talking about not only the hypocrisy and CMT, I'm also going to be talking about the fact that yeah, we got to explore that question. Could it really and truly happen in a small town? So Aldean's song, basically, and I'm showing you guys bits and pieces of the music video itself. Obviously, I can't turn the song on for copyright reasons. But the thing is this right here. This particular song, while CMT has pretty much banned it and for the most part canceled him, it's #1 right now on Apple Music. Seems to me like anytime you go after something that's truthful, it seems to me like it just continues to just shoot all the way up to the top of the charts. Once again, like I've said before, 2023 has not been a good year for the woke. I'm pretty sure you guys remember how how the month of June went for all the Pride people, especially when it comes to Target, Bud Light, and all those companies decided to put rainbow flags up. Don't worry, we'll talk about that more towards the end of the video, but first we obviously got to call it the hypocrisy. So obviously this music video, this song has garnered a few reactions. First part of this hypocrisy that we need to discuss is the actual riots themselves and the ones that were being discussed in this song. What do all these cities have in common? What do every single one of these cities have in common? And before you say woke mayors, let me use another term for you. Every single one of these blue cities where the riots occurred have got massive gun control. They've got extremely strict gun policies. Very strict. Now you're going to hear me talk about this more towards the end of the video. I'm just figuring I'd throw this out here because a lot of these riots occurred in places where people are not allowed to defend themselves. You're also going to hear me bring up Kenosha after we get through looking at this set of clips here in a second. The thing is this right here. If you're in a place where you're not allowed to defend yourself or people are not allowed to defend themselves, guess what? More than likely, riots are probably going to occur at some point in time. Somebody gets upset over a shooting or whatever. Next thing you know, boom, everybody comes on out. They start destroying property. They raise 15 counts of hell or 100 counts of hell, whichever one you might want to say. Of course, the media deemed these as mostly fiery but fiery but mostly peaceful protest. Yeah, they deemed it as that right there, even though property was being destroyed, people were getting hurt. Yeah, that type of thing there. Of course, people were burning down their own businesses in protest. Don't seem to realize that, you want your community to flourish, but yet you're burning down businesses within your community. Of course, I'm talking about the black community who burned down a lot of black businesses in these very, very large towns. It seems to me like there's a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of stupidity going on here. Complete total lack of self-awareness. But then again, though, when a movement is starting to die, it typically tends to scream the loudest. And a lot of times in those screams that are the loudest types of screams, they oftentimes be the most unintelligible. Basically, what I'm saying here is that the movement that the wokes have been pushing for a while is starting to get some actual true pushback and is starting to run out of steam. Normies got tired of the whole pride thing. Normies stepped up and protested, especially with all the things that were going on in New York City as far as the pride parade and everything that, quite frankly, I'm not allowed to show you, but I did talk about in other videos. Right now in Canada, you've got Muslims are protesting the whole LGBTQ thing there, which, by the way, we'll talk about that community more towards the end of the video because we have to explain the whole process of could it actually happen in a small town. The point that I'm trying to make to you guys is that these very, very blue cities are the environment where these types of riots would more than likely occur. And by very, very blue cities, I'm talking about the biggest cities, the ones that are on the coast. I'm talking about even those in the Midwest, like say Chicago, for example. Extremely high crime rate, extremely high murder rate. Philadelphia, same thing. New York City, same thing. LA, same thing. San Francisco, same thing. Oh God, do we got to mention Portland? Do we got to mention Seattle, Chaz Chop? Yes, what I'm saying to you guys is this right here. the very, very big blue areas, those ones who have extremely strict gun laws where there's no way to actually check somebody or the civilian to check somebody, yeah, these places are going to foster riots.
Carjackings and robbing liquor stores. Who talks about those crimes? Sounds like he got his inspiration for this song from Fox News. And then he goes on to say, cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Who could he be talking about there? Because I guarantee you it's not the people from the Capitol. So then we get to the chorus.
Let's talk about old Jason Aldean and his new song, Try That in a Small Town. First of all, it's full of BS. You know, I mean, it's the rarest unicorn in the world, somebody actually burning a flag or some stupidity like that. But he tries to act like small town people are just tough. They don't put up with that nonsense, and that's a bunch of BS.
So we kind of have some good news updates from this situation. CMT pulled the video and won't show Jason Aldean's video for Try That in a Small Town. It's also extremely worth noting that the site where Jason chose to shoot this video is the site of a lynching of a black man in the 1920s. And I have seen enough from Jason, who also did blackface for Halloween, and his insurrectionist Barbie mistress wife, to know that this was not a coincidence. He can put out this fake-ass apology that I'm barely gonna give any credence to, because he and his mistress's actions have shown who they really are and what exactly this song is supposed to mean.
Girl number one's response doesn't really surprise me at this point in time. It's just a sad way of trying to race bait. Yeah, this right here took place at a spot where the lynching took place at. Look, everywhere you go out in the South, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to find something that happened that, I don't know, occurred in 1803, 1804, 1930, 1963, 1965, 1902. You're going to find something that happened there. Of course, the South eventually would, after the Civil Rights Movement, eventually come together. People would eventually start working together. And of course, the topic of racism was never really discussed again. And it pretty much went away because people in the South, white and black both, they get along a lot better than people would think. Just figured I'd go ahead and throw that out there. Guy number two, he makes a very, very interesting point, which I'll address more towards the end of the video. But the girl, this right here is going to provide a much, much broader explanation, because one of the things that Jason Aldean has been hit for, at least in the South, which I'm not saying this girl is from the South, is the fact that apparently things did not go very well with Jason Aldean's first wife, and of course the second wife is being called the mistress, or the fact that he's got mistress. I really and truly don't know, because I don't really keep up with country music, which makes you probably wonder why it is that I'm discussing Jason Aldean. Well, the reason why I'm discussing that is because it brings a very, very good question. Could it really truly happen in a small town? But also, we need to call it the hypocrisy, especially when it comes to the, let's just say, modern music these days. So you got a lot of rappers out there. You got this one person named Suki, who somehow or another got trending with food, and they make some of these songs have got some of the, let's just say, not exactly well-written lyrics. It's kind of dumbed down. It's almost like music as a whole has just gone down. Let me give you an example of what I mean.
My coochie pink, my booty hole brown. We're now doing color descriptions of bodily orifices. My boogers green, my earwax orange, but nothing rhymes with orange. Where's the N-words? I'm looking for the hose. Quit playing, N-word. Come suck a toe. Indeed. Well said. Pound Town just left Pound Town. With my N-word, he took a down. Yeah, that N-word. A down. Yeah, that N-word. And it just continues along these lines. And my favorite part of this is where she actually opens applications for a stepfather for her child. That's my favorite part, is where she opens the resumes up. So she's like, I'm out here in Miami. Again, remember, the NAACP has put a travel warning on Miami for black people. So I don't even know how she's living down here in Florida. I just don't know. I mean, obviously she's in serious danger in Pound Town. She says, I'm out here in Miami looking for the hoochie daddies. Where they at? Where the N-words? Get that ratchet. Where they at? My son need a new pappy. Well, that's
Just listening to Shapiro read off some rap lyrics, especially those rap lyrics, makes me laugh because obviously the quality in songwriting has gone down immensely. I don't think people are protesting songs like this because, they send an extremely bad message, which obviously they do. I think they're protesting more about the fact that these songs are extremely poorly written. I know saying those words extremely poorly back to back may not make any sense, but then again, though, with lyrics like that there, I'm pretty sure I can get away with saying extremely poorly. No, I don't care about Shapiro either, so this is kind of like a day for me to kind of come out here and use two people that I really and truly don't keep up with or really care about to kind of get a point across. Sue me. I really and truly don't care. I'm a content creator. It's what I do. Yes, that may make me look like a bit of a jerk, but at this point in time, I really and truly don't care because when it comes to dealing with the left, I'm kind of at the point to where maybe what you just simply do is just pat them on the head and just walk by because obviously nobody takes these people serious. Back on topic. So you guys see that. You see the types of lyrics that rappers are bringing. This isn't like the 1990s or the early 2000s where rappers actually rap stuff that we actually liked. I mean, I'm a 90s kid. I grew up with good music. Snoop, the West Coast, East Coast, Ordeal, Puff Daddy, eventually Eminem. And then after that, rap just for whatever reason just started to go downhill. It seems to me like maybe 50 Cent was the last good one, at least as far as I'm concerned. But as you guys know, obviously people don't know how to write songs nowadays. Still though, you guys saw the bits and pieces of the video itself. Aldean is just simply bringing up stuff from that happened in 2020. The riots, the same thing that the politicians and the media kept on telling us were fiery but mostly peaceful protests, even though people got killed in the George Floyd riots. And of course, we all remember what happened in Kenosha. It seemed to me like the riots just suddenly stopped over the Jacob Blake incident once somebody actually stepped up. Of course, they were forced to step up, of course, in self-defense, even though we all know that Kyle went there to protect a car dealership, a used car dealership, but obviously when he got jumped, he had to put two of these guys down. He hit a third. It seems to me like the riots may have stopped them, which makes me almost wonder if maybe that right there is what Jason Aldean is trying to say. Try it in a small town because obviously people have a tendency to step up. But then again, though, going back to that second guy's question where he was talking about, well, let me go ahead and play it one more time for you guys.
Folks, let's talk about old Jason Aldean and his new song, Try That in a Small Town. First of all, it's full of BS. I mean, it's the rarest unicorn in the world, somebody actually burning a flag or some stupidity like that. But he tries to act like small town people are just tough. They don't put up with that nonsense.
Something like this did happen. A guy shot 4 people. A man of color, not a white guy, in a small suburban town outside of Atlanta. I just figured I would throw that out there if that happened recently. So, yes, stuff like this could, in fact, happen in a small town. But it also makes you wonder at the same time exactly what could occur. But before I venture too far off topic, I'm going to save that more for the latter portion of the video. So let's go ahead and get into this whole notion of CMT and why it is that they did what they did. Now, guys, I made a video a while back about CMT having drag queens at the Country Music Awards and how it is that we probably should have seen this a long time ago that... yeah, we probably should have seen CMT beginning to become more and more woke. I want to say it was John Rich had brought this up, that he felt that the country music scene was getting a lot worse. It was getting a little bit more politically correct. And as a result of this, a lot of artists were discussing maybe leaving Nashville as a whole, which is something I would suggest country music artists do. If Nashville is going to turn into some form of woke capital, it might be a good idea for these guys to find another city. I don't know, maybe a good town like in Texas, West Texas, maybe somewhere in Arkansas or somewhere like in Alabama or whatnot. Just kind of go ahead and create another country music capital, because obviously if everything is being controlled out of Nashville and it's going to be woke and you're going to get canceled for certain types of songs, then obviously you may want to find a brand new destination. I just figured I would go ahead and throw that out there. But I also remember CMT at one point in time almost wanting to take the mantle. They had an opportunity to bring over Duck Dynasty, which, by the way, that was an incident that happened back in 2014 or 2013, I believe, when Phil Robertson made his comments about gay marriage. And he basically got blasted. Phil, of course, did what Phil would normally do. He would respond. He didn't really apologize. He basically said that, look, I love everybody. And a lot of people were clamoring for Duck Dynasty to take their show over to CMT. Makes you almost wonder if maybe Duck Dynasty may have been correct, even though they obviously did not see this. That right there, of course, being the Robertsons themselves. It may be possible that maybe they could have seen the corporate takeover eventually coming at CMT, and maybe that's the reason why they chose to stay at A&E, because after that incident, after Duck Dynasty, after the Robertsons responded the way they did, A&E for the most part kind of left it alone, and the guys never got in trouble again. Makes you almost wonder if maybe the seeds for eventual wokeness weren't planted at CMT a long time ago. I'm just throwing that out there, and I understand that they're two completely different instances, but I just figure I would just put that out there just in case, because I'm pretty sure if you look into how the CMT's corporate practices are and their actual policies, I'm pretty sure that you'll find some stuff that goes all the way back probably before 2020. Of course, I'm talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, that type of thing there. I'm pretty sure some of that is going on at that company, and a lot of that's probably going on in Nashville itself. Just figure I'd toss that out there. So it doesn't surprise me that Jason Aldean puts a song out there basically saying, try this in a small town, which to me did not really have any true connotation, except for the fact that, yeah, if you want to go riot and burn things down, yeah, let's go ahead and try this in a small town and see how that goes for you. Now, there is one more thing that I do need to address before I move on to that question of could it happen in a small town and what would more than likely occur. And I'm also going to talk about what exactly is probably going to occur at CMT, even though I already talked about how it was that if you move into CMT or if you actually look into their practices, you'll probably find some diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff probably in their hiring practices. And you'll probably see that it probably started a lot. It probably goes back a lot further than you think. But here's the thing I need to discuss. I understand that Aldean's marital choices and the way his first marriage ended and whatnot, I understand that that was not a good look. I'm not here to defend him on that. However, there is one area that I will defend him in. And of course, you're probably thinking to yourself, don't tell me you're about to defend a guy who was like, not faithful. No, I'm not doing that at all. I'm defending a guy on a singular issue. Check this out. A while back in 2021, Aldean posted some stuff to, I think it was either his Facebook or his wife's Facebook. They were at Disneyland. Now, granted, I understand that Disneyland or Disney World's where at, my bad. I understand that Disney World, it has cost a lot of money. It's extremely expensive. Of course, Aldean's got the money. He can go down there and do that. I'm not bringing that up. I'm not here to feel bad for him or whatnot. You guys already know how I feel. I mean, outside the whole what gives you a right to their money, I don't see a reason to simp for the rich or simp for the wealthy or simp for Hollywood. But here's the deal. That photo was put up, and it was put up by, and I'm not going to say who it was. I'm not going to bring any type of people that I know personally or anything, but it was put up by somebody, and people were commenting, and obviously on your Facebook, you're obviously going to have some people that you do know. And the complaints that you mostly see was people were complaining about the fact that he had a brand new woman, this, that, and the other. He's a liar, he's a cheater, he's a POS, this, that, and the other. But it was one person who wanted to make a point that, quite frankly, I did not understand, which, by the way, is the absurdity of the whole situation. And that was he's not wearing a mask. Bitch, it's the summer, it's Florida, it's 110 degrees outside. I'm not wearing a mask. You have any idea how much money a ticket to Disney World costs? People have got a plan for years to go down there. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not wearing a freaking mask. It seems to me like the pot shots that people are taking at him nowadays, and I understand the whole wife thing. I get that. But every other criticism just seems more and more and more like a useless nitpick. Something that just doesn't make any sense. Look, if you want to keep beating this guy up over what happened in his first marriage, go right ahead and do so. I mean, if you want to stay bitter about that entire thing, even though you weren't married to him, so therefore technically it's not really your business, then go right ahead and do that. Go ahead and be a bitter old cat lady for the rest of your life. Now, back to the topic. Guys, I know I jump around a little bit, but I talked about this earlier. Could it happen in a small town? And the guy in the cowboy hat, he's actually not entirely false. It could happen in a small town. Of course, we already saw it happen in a small town. I brought up Kenosha earlier. You guys obviously saw it happen. Somebody obviously stepped up, even though that person probably did not intend to step up. And obviously the cops did not get involved. Police department was much, much smaller. They couldn't handle things, even though I've kind of said, look, man, maybe the police should handle this right. I mean, that's kind of why they're there. Civilians shouldn't have to step up. But then again, though, things that happened was somebody obviously stepped up. Let me go ahead and break this down for you. I've talked about this topic on Gear Issue 33, okay, my second channel, which, by the way, I'm turning more into a military history type channel. Don't worry, I'll leave this video on Hannah or Jane in the description box, and I should have my video out on Zulu on Sunday. That's part of the reason why I'm only releasing one video today, is obviously to continue to work on that, because I've been at the computer all morning getting everything ready. Here's the deal. The bigger cities, if something like a CW was to occur, it would more than likely occur in the bigger cities. Let me explain the reason why. The vast majority of the big city voters are your blue voters. Not a whole lot of conservatives there, right? No, it's not. I mean, by number, yeah, but obviously those numbers are dwindling. People are leaving the cities, and, contrary to popular belief, not everybody who's moving from New York City to, say, I don't know, Raleigh, North Carolina, or I don't know, maybe the town that I live in, is going to vote Democrat. I ran into people from Illinois who are Trump voters. I ran into people from Ohio that are Trump voters. I ran into people who are from New York that are Trump voters. I mean, it just depends. I mean, what it typically is that if somebody is moving from a city to a rural town, to a rural area or a small town, they typically tend to do the whole when in Rome, do what the Romans do. If somebody is moving from a city to a suburb, on the other hand, or a suburb in another state, chances are they're probably going to vote the way they left. So what happens? Well, in these cities, you've got these groups, okay? And, of course, a lot of these groups match the Rainbow Coalition that Jesse Jackson, who coincidentally retired recently, Jesse Jackson was trying to establish. I'm talking about the black, the brown, the L, the G, the B, the T, the Q, the plus, the A, all that stuff there. Well, what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that the Democratic Party voting base is a voting base of which they have to pander to, meaning they have to pander. If you ever notice with Democrat politicians, it seems like they pander a lot more, where Republican politicians sort of pander more to ideology, where Democrat politicians kind of pander more to actual voters themselves. It's because there's a lot of single issue voters. They have to hold that band together, and normally if one or two pieces of that strand fall apart, and the next thing you know, their voter coalition falls apart in the incoming election. That's typically how they lose elections. One group did not show up in massive numbers. In 2016, it was black voters who did not show up in massive numbers. Also, Hispanic voters did not show up in massive numbers. White liberals did not show up in massive numbers, which, by the way, you could probably throw them in their own camp because they're kind of their own voter. Fact of the matter is that more than likely what would occur is something would happen in the cities, and these groups would probably all fight one another, especially given the fact that New York has got a lot of moderate Democrat voters as well. I'm just using New York as an example. Same thing in Chicago, same thing in LA and the bigger cities. Well, the moderate lefty is automatically viewed as right-wing by these people, so they're automatically going to think that they're fighting right-wingers. And as I mentioned before, people in the bigger cities are not allowed to defend themselves because these places have extremely strict gun control. And like I said before, if you guys kind of sit back and think about it, as I mentioned, these bigger cities are in fact the places that would in fact foster the most amount of quote-unquote riots, damage, destruction, and incidents. So more than likely, if something was to occur, it would happen in a much, much larger city. People who live in small towns, and like I said, I'm not saying it can't happen, but people who live in smaller towns, which by the way makes up most of America by actual number, they typically tend to take care of themselves a lot better. They typically tend to not only take care of themselves a lot better, but they typically tend to actually communicate with one another and hash out their differences. Where in a bigger city, you're almost like a faceless, soulless type person. So yes, these cities are more than likely, the much, much larger cities are more likely to where this stuff would actually occur. But then again, though, who the hell am I kidding? All you have to do is just look at your television screen and look at Fox News or MSNBC or any one of the networks that's actually forced to carry the riots themselves, and therefore you would then get your answer. By the way, you don't need statistics or an actual chart to explain this, especially when you see it on television. People will come in here and say, this right here is strictly anecdotal. Bro, a lot of people run to statistics when they can't provide an actual logical explanation or logical argument. Okay, that's the real truth. Most people are, for the most part, they live more along the lines of the day job. We're more common. I'm a common person. My family, we're more blue collar, common people environment. We're not pseudo intellectuals or anything like that, even though some of us do have some college, myself included. But for the most part, the common, average, ordinary person is not looking to start riots, especially those who live in small towns. It's those who live in bigger towns who typically tend to vote Democrat, who typically tend to get slighted by the system, only to then turn right back around and vote for another very, very harsh liberal Democrat. Meanwhile, the moderate lefty sits there and asks themselves a question: why in the world is this crime so bad? Why are things falling apart so much? And then they turn right back around and vote for the same exact policies that foster the environment that they're in. Truly amazing stuff. Guys, that's going to be all for today. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If you guys are not subscribed to this channel, make sure you guys do so. If you feel that I've earned your subscription, please do, in fact, hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notifications bell. Please leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to get you guys' thoughts on this, and I shall see you guys later.